I could probably think of 100 interesting people in Teesside.
Yeah.
I don't know of anybody else in Teesside that has a podcast.
Yeah, I don't.
There's my mate Johnny who does like a Middlesbrough Football Club one.
Yeah.
And they kind of like talk about the matches afterwards.
For a breakdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
He trains with us.
Oh, nice. Great lad.
So
Really nice lad.
lovely lad. So I was like, there's that. And that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, well, there's clearly room there for like,
I also
not
think
like pro Teesside podcast, but like
a bit of what's gone missing from what we'll have seen, particularly, is the growth of like the creative corner of Teesside, going from very DIY to still DIY, but people supporting each other. So like when podcasts became a big thing and you were doing yours, I think that was the first time anyone had even seen Andy Preston talk to another human as a human. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always laugh because I think you interviewed me and then 2 weeks later you interviewed Andy Preston and my views had gone like up by a couple of hundred, and I think it's because I must have naturally been the next video.
Right, okay.
People were watching it, getting to the end and then just queued my video.
Funny. Do you know what? Before we'll just call this start now if you
okay,
want.
Yeah, cool. I didn't know if you were on or not.
I wasn't sure either. I just thought
Is it recording?
Yeah,
cool.
Everything's recording, yeah. So it was 6 years ago when we first did our podcast.
Mint.
So thanks for doing that 6 years ago in 10 Feet Tall Studios.
I didn't have a clue what I was talking about.
Well, I only noticed 6 years ago because I had to look earlier because I wanted to know. And it just says Aaron Lythe, like Sad for Life Records.
Yeah.
And it's funny how I was looking at it and thinking about how like media's changed. It doesn't even have like a thumbnail.
Yeah.
It's just a bit, it's like a screen grab of me and you behind that table talking.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't that I was like lazy then or anything like that.
That's just how it was, wasn't it?
It was just like, you just didn't need to like sit on Photoshop.
And now you've got like, I can see a screen grab already in my head of like someone's sat on a chair pointing and then the other guy's like, cut into it. Like that's
so
how it
the
is.
thumbnail for this is going to be like,
it's going to be that.
Laughing.
It's going to be, we'll just cut
super.
What I've just done.
Yeah. Actually, I might use that.
It is just that, isn't it? And it's it's interesting the way the world's gone, but it's not to fucking hell. That's not like I was going to get that deep there. I'm not going to get that deep immediately.
You're allowed. It's okay.
It's funny, isn't it, that like stuff like that's just accessible instantly, and then you've got the visual stimulant of going, this looks like it's going to be a funny episode because that guy's doing that at the start.
And it's probably boring.
Yeah, I think back to that one we did 6 years ago, and will it have been 7 years ago now?
Probably coming up 7,
like 6 to 7 years ago.
Yeah.
6, 7 years ago. So
that's the thumbnail. You did 6, 7, yeah.
I don't remember my point now. And I think back and I'm like, I had nothing to talk about. At that point, I was purely just in promo mode all the time. And what I'm thinking was, the more I talk, the more people are going to pay attention to what I'm doing. And it kind of worked.
Yeah. For sure, yeah.
But I didn't really have anything to talk about because I hadn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
And maybe I had, but nothing noteworthy. I hadn't made my big, like I'd started a record label. I was working at Basecamp. I'd been in a band.
You'd already done more than most.
Yeah, I'd like obviously worked with the wrestlers and I'd done stuff, but nothing stuck.
Yeah.
At that point, it was like...
But I still feel like that now.
Yeah.
With me.
I was, so weirdly, when I knew this was coming up, I've thought about this quite a lot. And I think we're very similar in that way, in that like, we've probably over the years done a lot of the same stuff. And the things that I haven't done is accounted for with something you've done. I've never gotten into MMA or jiu-jitsu.
I've never been into wrestling.
But me booking wrestling shows, I was going to say I've never wrestled. I have now, at least just once. I've retired, but I've wrestled once. We're probably very similar in that way, that we're constantly just like, if we're not doing something creatively, we have to find something else to do and fill that void until something really sticks. And obviously you found that with Reap. And what I admire about you is you will use that platform, whether it's because you want to play drums in the garage and do covers, or you want to release surf gear and show people that you like surfing, and you put your actual passions into your passion project, which I think is really admirable and something I think I also do, probably naturally. But it's hard to not get caught up in losing your way with it, if that makes sense. Do you find 100%. That sometimes?
Yeah, so like I find that it's interesting you mentioned like the surf and stuff with Reap, because there's 1,000 different like facets to it, but like I could make and have come close to making some bad business decisions where I've been like, I'll just spend all of the money that I've got on like a surf line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like fucking like get some wetsuits and like, you know, all the things that you could make, or get some boards made or like whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that's because I'm into it. And yes, there's lots of people into surfing. It's a fucking much bigger audience than jiu-jitsu, but I'm like, I have to kind of check myself and go, I'm going to sit with a garage full of 20 surfboards that I can't sell.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted a surfboard that said Reef on it, really.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I think that's not to try and steer the conversation one way, but that's kind of what this player, over time has turned into, from my mental capacity, at least from my brain, is it's a place where I can go, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it. But if I don't throw absolutely everything at it, that's when those things fail. Yeah. So using the wrestling as an example, I've done wrestling shows for years with Rise. They always lead the thing. I'm not taking credit for their work, but I'll always help in terms of venue or just making sure that things are in place and pointing at stuff and helping them get people for sound and lights and all that sort of stuff. And having whatever conversations they need to have just to take the pressure off them booking a wrestling show. Yeah. But years ago when it came to promo, I used to play to the audience that was already there. Yeah. Which doesn't matter. That's going to sound really bad, but it's more that like you don't need to do that because the audience is already there, so they're going to come. So the audience that's already there for surfing, are going to buy your stuff. But then how do you appeal to people that might not be into surfing yet? Just as you're like, how do I appeal to people that might not have been to a wrestling show yet? And then you figure out your ways around it. So for us, it was doing the free entry wrestling stuff with no ring. Cut costs to a point, take some risks, and put some payments out, knowing that the next time you do a ring show, it's going to sell out. Yeah, which is what we did. I don't necessarily know how that would apply to surfing, because obviously surfing is a very specific thing. Yeah, yeah. But there's going to be some way where you can go, I'm really into this thing, I really want to sell this product. Even if I'm sat on it for a while, I'm going to make sure that I sell it. Yeah. Outwardly. Yeah. It's more about sometimes with Reap, and I'm literally had this conversation with the lads the other day about how I go about it. It's like I put it all under one roof and then I fragment it and then I put it all under one roof and I'm back at that, put it all under one roof, but like do it slightly differently, which I'll talk to you about afterwards if you want to know what how and why. But like it's more because I've built up an audience of like hardcore jiu-jitsu people, so then all of a sudden I go, okay, I'm going to branch out into these sports and start building audiences over there. Like how do I like lend from the Reap audience but not piss them off enough where they just go, oh, they're just a snowboarding brand now. Yeah. And that's a really fine line to walk. But the flip side of it is I get people. I had a guy who I've trained with for about 10 years the other day, and a couple of days ago, he said, like, he was like, oh, what I really like about Reap is that it's not just jiu-jitsu. He was like, there's loads of jiu-jitsu brands out there and they do like X, Y, and Z, and it's all like quite boring. He was like, I like your stuff because I know that there's like, he mentioned skateboarding, and at the time that he'd said it, I was like, I haven't put any skateboarding content out for about 2 years. I was like, it was so nice that was like, it was still in his head. I don't have to ram it down people's throats. That's the pressure you'll put on yourself. Just purely because you'll have had such a clear plan in your head of how you wanted the skateboarding thing to go, and then maybe it didn't go that way, or maybe you just put it on pause because something else was going well, but you can always go back to it. Yeah. Because there's definitely an audience for it. You know how to do it. You know what you'd want. Let's say it's a skateboard shirt. Mm-hmm. You know exactly how you'd want it to look because you'd wear it. Yeah. And I think that's like the most. It sounds so obvious to say, but that's like the most important thing. Yeah. That I've found is genuinely just staying true, even if it's not your strongest point. So like I do music bingos and quizzes. Yeah. Now, where I'm at now, and I'm talking about wanting to do the wrestling because that's like a passion of mine and wanting to bring people in to see what that's all about, even if they don't think they like wrestling. If you asked me 10 years ago what events would I be doing, if I had to choose, if I could choose, and if it was 100% whatever I wanted to do, it would be full all the time. Bingo and quizzes would never have been on my radar. But I love doing it. Yeah. And it's a different audience. And although it might not lend itself, like 90s Music Bingo last week was like Britney Spears and NSYNC and all that sort of stuff. And we had a full room of people dancing and having a great time who would hate coming the following Friday
to a wrestling
do you know
show.
what I mean? Because we've got like a rock night or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to be able to go, this is my version of that thing.
Yeah.
And we're all human. We all don't just like one thing.
Yeah.
Some 90s music, as cheesy as it can be, is mint, and it's really good fun, and it's really cool as people like ourselves, probably with overactive brains, I imagine.
Yeah.
To just be able to go, right, it's not rock night tonight, it's 90s music bingo. How do I do this in my way?
But still, yeah. So this is, it's actually something I've been wrestling with personally because of a million different things. But I was driving, I dropped my second child off at his nana's yesterday before I went to work. And I was driving, and the Bronx came on, who are one of my favourite bands.
Yeah. And
I was just like, oh, I've been lacking like a bit of punk rock and a bit of edge, just to like everything that I kind of work on. Like, not necessarily maybe more towards other stuff, but I was like, oh, I feel a bit flat because I was like, oh, I'm just missing that edge that that naturally comes from everything I do, whether I like it or not. You know, I've got fucking tattoos on my neck and like, you know, I make stuff that perhaps looks a bit different to what other people do. So I was like, oh, I just need to like just do that and just like kind of getting deep again. But I was like, remember who I am, if that makes sense, and put that in everything. Whether, you know, if it was me doing 90s music bingo or like whatever, I'm like, I totally understand where you're coming from.
It's so easy to lose it though. And Callum, who's in the building right now, but obviously we can't see him. I hired him.
We're in Playroom right now.
Yeah, we are in play. Yeah. I struggle working with people a lot because I want things done the way I want them done. Yeah. And I want to play the songs I want to play. I want to do the things I want to do. And I've lost that myself over the last few years. Because when I was running Playbrew, when I was working for someone running this place, I was representing his business. Mm-hmm. So that's where the 90s bingo and stuff came from, which again, I love it to this day and I still love doing it. But I get a bit more leeway and I don't feel bad if they don't go as well or whatever. Yeah. But it was Callum that reminded me, because sometimes I'm sort of learning how to DJ by doing at the minute, and Callum's got experience doing it, and sometimes I'll play really obvious stuff to fit the theme and suit the audience I think is in the room, and then it's Callum that's reminded me, like, no, like, remember what room you're in. Remember what room these people are in, and not to be like, just play something obscure, but if we are going to be that place, we need to be that place. And he's not scared to do it, and it's brought that out of me, because there's really, if you do it well and you do it purely out of your own like love for doing it, that's going to reflect. And I never got that for a long time, and I think we're more popular now as a space. And we were talking before we started about like TikTok and stuff, and I'm not a massive TikTok fan. I never wanted to do it ever, but we announced a Devo gig recently, so we've got MC Devo. Really exciting. But I booked it on a whim because he posted on Facebook saying that he was back. Just on a post, like, I'm back or something. And I had his email from years ago. So I was like, right, okay, I'm going to just reach out. 10 minutes later, he was like, yeah, but what date? Nice. And I was like, oh, mint, class, this is unreal. But I was like, it's not going to, you know, maybe it'll sell well over the 6 months we're promoting it. Yeah. I put it on TikTok, just the poster, the caption, Devo's back, coming to play, get your tickets, blah, blah, blah. Woke up the next day, it had 10,000 views. And I was like, it's TikTok as well, which I thought was all videos. And it was just a picture. I was like, how's this happened? And all the comments just like, no, this is a lie, this is fake. And then some guy, I won't name any names and I won't get into it because you might watch it, but some guy, a viral dude. Oh, right, I saw your post. And suddenly it blew up again. Yeah. And we had 30,000 views. And I was like, what is happening here? And then it sold out in 2 days. Yeah. 2 days sold out. And then I was a bit conscious of that, so I had to do a TikTok, and I've posted it on Instagram now of me talking about what this place is and showing the place off. Yeah, considering talking about the type of people that might, just because I was like, I didn't want to be the place that I'd booked Devo and then nothing else for 6 months. So I was like, not only show those people that are coming to that show, because like most of the postcodes for tickets aren't even in Teesside. Right. Like, which is insane. Interesting. Yeah. Because no, he hadn't announced any other dates. Yeah. As when we announced, I think maybe one. So we had people from Manchester, like all over, like Derby. Like there's literally 200 plus tickets. I think there's 15, 16 TS postcodes, which is mental. Yeah. Yeah, really exciting. But I wanted to show those people what this place was, first of all, to make them understand that this isn't like the Ritz. And then I also wanted people of Teesside to realise that we're here and that as much as we've booked this cool, exciting gig, but it's a bit gimmicky. I didn't want people to be like,
you've got the eyes, so now you need to,
And it's paid off massively, and that's how people have found us.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, and it's like, in my head I'm like, if I just did that like 3 years ago, there wouldn't have been the hard times we've probably had. Because since then, like, we've had people come in on like Saturdays and stuff talking to me like they know me, which is really nice, by the way. I'm not complaining about that, but it is it's so jarring to me.
Yeah. Welcome to Sumo Rick for 4 fucking years of my life. It's crazy, isn't it?
Like, I'm not in any way going to sit here and claim to be like a celebrity on any level, even local, like celebrity. Like,
I'd give you that. I think
local in this room, I'd be like, okay, people probably know who I am, but it's so jarring to me when like people are like, I once went to a Borough game with my mate Ben, and Ben always says like, no talking shop when we're out, because all I do, and this isn't like I feel sorry for me sort of moment, but all I do is work. It's like 24/7. I'm constantly, it's on my brain. Even if I'm not physically doing something, I'm thinking about my next step or my next move or what do we do.
It's like you've climbed into my brain and explained it. But you keep going, sorry.
Crazy. But my mate Ben's, I was like, no talking shop today. We were going to a Borough match. It was Boxing Day and it was sold out. And Akpom's got a hat trick. I can't remember who we played. It was a great game. But as we were getting into the stands, everyone was doing pig bag and singing all the songs. And it was like jam packed, so people were sat in our seats. And I was like, oh, excuse me. That's our seat. Do you mind just moving down a couple? And the guy was like, yeah. Do you do the Simpsons quiz at play? And I'm like, for God's sake. Like, I hadn't mentioned work all day. I'm with my mate Ben, who specifically, don't talk work, don't talk shop.
Of all the quizzes as well, the Simpsons one.
Yeah, it was the Simpsons one, which is like fine by me. Yeah. But yeah, that. And then one time at Stack, it was the opening weekend of Stack. The same thing happened. We've got at the bar. I was with Luke Anderson. So I'm glad I've got someone there for this, because I thought I was remembering it wrong. But some guy's like, oh, you're the guy that does the quiz at play. And I'm like, yeah, that's me, yeah. Shook my hand in that, and he was like, I'm going to, like, he phoned his wife. And was like, guess who I'm with? And I'm like, it's so fucking strange. Like, you came with, you paid £2 to be at a thing where I asked you 40 questions, and then you probably left with nothing. Like, what? Like, how does that happen? But it's funny and it's interesting. But like, it's even more interesting, going back to the TikTok thing, that I post a video being like, this is when we're open, and people come in and they're like, oh my God, I saw you on the internet. And I'm like, oh,
right.
I put that up.
Yeah.
It's not like someone else has posted a video of me that's gone viral or anything like that. I posted it up and it's got like 5,000 views. And one of those people is like, oh my God. And I'm like,
you're that dude.
Very strange.
I mean, there's loads I could talk about on this, but like, the first point I was going to say is that the public thing, Lottie goes fucking mad at me because we're like, she'd be like, you can't leave the house without bumping into somebody, you know. And I'm like, that I can't help that. I am me, and I talk to lots of people and always did. And when I was like in the club scene or whatever, or in bands, like, I'm just that person, that type A personality, whatever. You know, I've put in I have a podcast, of course, I'm a fucking type A personality and I talk a lot. You know what I mean? So anyway, but I find like that thing you mentioned there, I find that in jiu-jitsu, because like the jiu-jitsu world is actually really, really quite close. There isn't loads of people in the UK that are at a certain level or have a certain profile in jiu-jitsu. And I'm not saying that I have that profile. I'm saying that Reap as a business does. But I forget sometimes that I'm the face of that business. So sometimes I'll go to events, we might be sponsoring the event, or I'm just there, and people come over and say hello to me, and I'm like, why are you coming to say hello to me? Shouldn't it be the other way around? You know what I mean? And I kind of forget, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I am the face of that business. And of course I am, because I put loads of content out. But
it's hard to put yourself on that pedestal though, isn't it? Yeah. And like, I don't do it often. Because
I put stuff and I just think nobody watches it.
I know.
And obviously they do. But I just think, oh, no one cares.
Yeah. So I once watched a couple of girls in front of me while I was hosting a quiz. One of them whispered to the other one. She went, that's the guy who does the Instagram. And the other one went, he owns the place. And I was like, it was so funny. That was the first time I was like, I think I blushed and no one even spoke to me. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this is crazy.
Oh, that's so funny.
But my first date with my girlfriend, Hannah, I was like, we went bowling and then we went to Stack, and she was like, do you want to go to the Southfield? I think maybe I said, no, I can't remember. Southfield was mentioned. Yeah. But I was a bit like, listen, like, when we get there, I'm probably going to bump into someone I know. I'm like, And she was like, all right. And at first I think maybe it sounded seedy, you know, like I've got this underworld of girls I'm just going on dates with or something. But I was like, no, I'm probably just going to bump into people I know who might just want to sit with me.
Yeah.
And as soon as we walked in, that was it. And the guy who worked behind the bar, mint. Yeah, just a fan going off. Guy that worked behind the bar at the time, he works here now. He cooks all the food, Callum. Yeah. Gave me a free drink, so I just looked I looked like a boss. You know what I mean? This lassie, I had no idea who it was. Again, just thought I was the guy that hosted the quizzes. Yeah, which I'll happily take. Was like, oh, you were right. And then the second time I went to the Southfield, I said the exact same thing. I was like, this is going to happen again. And Ross sat next to me and just talked at me for an hour and just went on about how amazing I am and how much I helped his band back in the day and all this sort of stuff, which was really lovely. Yeah, but again, very jarring to my. I could see Ross
doing that, and I was just thinking, like, because if I saw you, I'd probably come over and start talking to you. But then I was like, I'd like to think I'd have the wherewithal to go. Aaron's with a girl. I'll say hello and maybe chat for a couple of minutes, and then I'd leave you to it.
It's not even a complaint. I think it just took her a second to get used to. We had it again. It's always the Southfield, but we had it with Johnny and his mates. They were out. I think it might have been Johnny's birthday, someone's birthday last year, and they were all out. And I met Hannah. It was summer, and we were sat outside, but as far away as possible from the bar area, just because it was boiling. And across the way, I'd waved at Johnny, and then suddenly 5 people sat out too. It's mint. Yeah. Again, I feel like I sound like I'm complaining about all this. No. I love it. It's mint, but it's just funny, isn't it? It's
just strange. Yeah.
It is. It's strange. It's something I'm still getting used to.
Because it's a byproduct, and it's a byproduct of like you building something that you love, and like we were saying about injecting your personality into it and stuff. And we live in a world, unfortunately, where people like crave that. Yeah. And I'll never call you an influencer because you're not that in that umbrella. Yeah. You're just a person that has been really passionate and like built a community, which is harder than anything really, I think. And you're the face of that, so it's like a byproduct of it. But there's people out there that kind of like, I was laughing when you posted about that TikTok, because I, as a day job, like consult for loads of people on everything to do with brands. So obviously social media like comes up, and they're like, loads of people are like, like they just want to go viral on TikTok. Yeah. Like they're just like, it's pure ego. It'll do fuck all for the business, but they just want to go viral on TikTok and get loads of eyes on it. And I know people who will spend like hours and hours and hours on, what's the right amount of TikToks to post a day? Shall I create a hook? What music shall I use? And like do all of this stuff to try and match what they call the algorithm, which is just people. Yeah. And like try and maximize views. And I'm like, all you got to do is book MC Devo and take a photo of it and post it. Literally, it's like, mental. But I say this to people all the time when they're like, whether they're content creators or own businesses or whatever. I'm like, if you make something interesting, people will watch it or like it or whatever. If you make something that isn't interesting, people will not interact with it.
I think this is. I'm like really, really. I will always refuse to do the trends. Mm-hmm. Unless I somehow started it, do you know what I mean? Like, but the dancing and the songs and all that, I would never follow those trends to be like, that's getting a lot of traction for people, so I'm going to do it. Yeah. Which is why I reverted immediately to just talking about what we're doing. Yeah. And when we're open and what we have in here, because I'm like, that's enough for me. Yeah. I'm not trying to be seen on the internet loads. I'm trying to get loads of people in here. So how can I use people the internet that mistake? To do that? I think a conversation I had last week was like, what's the goal of this place? Like, what's the big dream? And I think I don't think in long-term goals and dreams, because it might not be here tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Not saying that that's a possibility. I mean, just in general. Anything could happen, right? Yeah. But my goal is like just being able to open this place and not having to be like, here's a crazy wild event every Saturday. It's a dream. That's kind of where the conversation about sitting down and talking again came from me, because again, I said this is going to be promotory. It's not, but like to something we're starting from. I don't know when this is going out, but from this weekend to us. On Saturday, we're just focusing on opening. From 4 in the afternoon till 2 in the morning every Saturday, and then doing like just DJing rock music from 10 till 2. And that purely stems from the fact that last summer we'd get messages of people going, oh, you're playing emo and pop punk tonight? And we'd be like, well, no, because we've got such and such event in.
Yeah.
And when I looked, which is something I very rarely do, I always just want to do what I want to do. I don't look at what's happening elsewhere on certain dates, or it's probably a stupid marketing thing, but again, I don't really care. I just want to do what I want to do. When I looked, there was nowhere to go. There's like in Teesside, I mean, there's Empire, which is probably great for those people that like it and that go there, and for that age of people that they grab, which is fine. It's always going to be there. Mint, Sapphires, Flares, a couple of other places like that. And it was like, there's nowhere like, Stack, open till 1. I'm just promoting Stack there for some reason. Just open till 1. Food till 11. I was like, if someone wants to listen to Rage Against the Machine on a Saturday night, they've got to go to Sapphires and not listen to Rage Against the Machine. Do you know? And again, those places are great in their own right, and I'm not saying everyone should come here. Absolutely go other places, but there was nowhere doing that.
It's a space for those people to go.
So I think just being able to dedicate myself to it. I say this, and if in 3 Saturdays' time it's not working, I have to revert myself to just booking events. But I really don't want to. I'm a patient guy, and I'm very adamant and very set in my ways. And the ways I'm setting at the minute are making sure people can just come here and enjoy the space.
I mean, not that you're asking for advice, but I mean, it was always the goal back, if I put my promoter hat on, to kind of to do that, and different, but like sometimes we'd do, take Sumo for example, we'd look at the calendar, and the dream would be to have like out of 4 Fridays in a month, 2 of them events and the other 2 just open. And it was, a lot of it was from a cost cutting perspective, because it was always expensive to, whether we put bands on or did a fucking like Sumo of the Dead night with zombies, like they all had added costs, pay people to be zombies and run around and all that stuff. But it was always like, well, surely like just a place where you can be the type of person that wants to go to Sumo, and we were like, we have a strong enough brand surely to just open the doors, and we'd take a hit on numbers. We might get 100, 200 less in, but it'd be like, it's quite nice to just have a rock club and just have a place where people can gather and drink and party, and that's it. Like,
and that's something we're trying to do massively now. Is the way it's worked is Thursdays are set in stone, quiz nights are fine. Sorry, I've been ill for weeks, by the way, and I'm fine now, but I'm dealing with the aftermath. Quiz nights are fine. Thursday nights, different theme every single week. Fridays are going to, like, they're event night, but we're going to be open from 12, doing food all the way till 9 o'clock, whatever. But then a different event every Friday. But then Saturday is just the same thing every week, just to find some consistency and then put our focus elsewhere. Because opening 3 days a week is getting us by at the minute, which is great. But obviously, we all turn the news on. Maybe we don't turn the news on anymore, do we? We look at our phones. And immediately it's bad news in front of you. And everyone's talking about how expensive beer is, and it's no one's fault because the government are now charging X amount for this and X amount for that.
It's a really good video, someone breaking it down actually. But
it's all true as well. Like, it sucks. We've literally had to put our prices up today. Just every February it goes up. And I've balanced it enough to be like, okay, we'll take a little bit of a hit on this product because we sell this product loads, and that'll make the profit different. Not to go too much into the business side of things, but I can't remember what my overall point was there. Just talking for the sake of talking.
We're talking about the love of the game and the Saturday nights just being open.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I want to be open 7 days a week in a dream world. But at the minute, those 3 days we need to nail before we can think about a fourth. Tried Sundays last year. They were scratching their own back, and it was kind of taken away from people that might have come in on a Saturday afternoon. So until we're at a point now where those 3 days a week are nailed on and we can get a solid take out with them and a solid full, I mean, I say solid take, I'd honestly take an average take in a full room every time we open. Just because, again, we're getting by, we're fine. Not making tons and tons of money, but we're living off it. And this place is staying open, and I think it's so important, especially now, right now, given the current times and the current climate of the world, that a place like this exists. There's nowhere really alternative to go. There's nowhere out of the way to go. I'm not saying it's true wholeheartedly, but people, it's getting a little bit worse in town sometimes. I'm not saying, I don't know what worse really means. It sounds really bad. I love Middlesbrough. But people aren't wanting to be in the centre of town, basically. And it's not because no one's trying in the centre of town. It's just because I think people have realised there should be an alternative. Even cities have got breweries out of the way that are really fun to go to. And, you know, it's...
well, people
just something different in it.
That are that way inclined are willing to put the effort in to go somewhere slightly off the beaten track.
Yeah.
And I think like the towns thing, I remember working at Skins and Needles and kind of looking around, and I couldn't believe that the writing wasn't on the wall to people in the government, in local Middlesbrough council, or they just didn't want to accept it. But basically, they were hiking up the council tax rates, which are a fortune and should go down. Fuck council tax rates.
Mental.
And I was like, they're scrabbling for like a dying market because of online shopping, because of the economy. Like you lose all your shops from things that you can buy online. So your town centres that don't have much money, if you're not a Manchester, if you're not a Leeds, and you don't have like the footfall and the type of money that is in those places, then you end up with all the things that you can't really buy online.
Yeah.
So you have news agents to buy booze and fags if people still smoke, vape shops, barbers, food shops and tattoo shops. And that's what your town centre is going to be.
Yeah.
And bars, because you can socialise online. It's not the same. So I was like, and this was 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I was like, how is everybody... And it's not everybody else in the world. I'm not a fucking genius. But I was like, how are all these people so short-sighted? And why? Like, town centres are going to shrink. Councils are going to lose money because of it. And are losing money because of it. But it's not up to us to... They're the council. They need to fucking figure it out.
It's crazy.
They've got smart people working there.
Obviously, we get pats on the back a lot from people who love coming here. People who've never been here will pat us on the back before they leave. Online, it's full of praise. And that kind of stuff. But when it comes to like looking for help and assistance in that way from a local council, it's almost like non-existent.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it is. You know, it's not even it's not almost non-existent. It's non-existent.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is not turning it like council bashing, but like it's a council-owned building.
Yeah.
So,
but
it's hard to like. I feel like I don't feel confident if I was in trouble today. I'd feel more confident in solving the problem myself from either my own funds or my own hardware than I would if I was to reach out to the council.
Yeah. Because they tell you what I've just told them, which is fucking figure it out.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like they go, well, you wanted to start a business. Businesses are hard. Yeah. There's a reason that everybody does it. So go and figure it out. Then
comes that thought of like someone like myself who's especially new to like business owning on this scale. It's crazy to me that you can't be like, look at how well we're doing, look at how much people love it. Any help?
Yeah,
do you not want a business to be here? Like, do you know what I mean?
Where's the arts council funding? Because by whether they like it or not, by running somewhere like this, you're putting money back into the council's pockets. You're paying your council tax bills. You know what I mean? You're like,
we've got an empty building set next door, owned by the same. Well, the same landlord obviously doesn't own it, but it's owned by the council. Yeah. Looked after by the same landlord. And it's crazy to me that no one's reached out and went, you could do something with that space. Because that's something we're crying out for.
How about we give you reduced rent for 6 months and see what you can do with it?
Anything that just like, okay, we're going to cut, because money's obviously the issue. Exactly. Yeah. That's what, like, it's, I don't know. Obviously, I don't work in that sector. I don't have a clue how it works. Don't really want to know how it works because it would probably depress me. But
it's red tape and bullshit is what it is.
Just paperwork on desks for as long as you can possibly leave it there. So you've still got a job, I guess, is how it feels.
Yeah. But I could talk about it at length.
But you mentioned Skins and Needles there, so we've probably had like a lot of similar places at different times.
Yeah, I was just, as I said it, I thought, I'm sure I did download there for a bit.
Yeah, I don't know how long you'd not been there, but I went to Skins. It's kind of didn't know what my job role was.
Yeah, that's how I went to Skins as well.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, you're an interesting person. Come in.
Yeah.
I'd worked for John before. I worked at Dunelm for John.
Ah, right, okay, yeah.
Which is really interesting when he referees the jiu-jitsu. Yeah, but obviously he was there for a while. And they had Tomoko, which was the bar, and they kind of brought me on. There was already a manager there, but they kind of brought me on to help with that, marketing it, I guess. But obviously then I went to base camp, 10 feet tall. You've been at 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
I want to say one of the OGs, but I don't know how long 10 feet tall had been around when you went.
I was, yeah, kind of, yeah. So I officially started working for 10 Feet Tall. How old am I now? 19 years ago.
Okay,
handing out flyers as a 19-year-old. I'm 38, which is how I did that maths. But
that makes my next thought really interesting, because when I was 17, my brothers were in a band, a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
And I was going to their gigs at in the Crypt. Some of them, I don't think it was 10 Feet Tall.
Nights he was put on shows there. A few people did, yeah.
I can't remember around them, but it was, my dad used to sneak me in because they were like over 18 shows.
Yeah.
So he'd put me under his shirt.
No.
And and wait until the crowd got busy, and then shuffle in with me under his shirt.
Funny.
And obviously whoever was on the door probably didn't even care, because it was probably, as we know now, it's probably some 18-year-old kid who's in another band just ripping up tickets and
for sure,
throwing them away. Probably didn't care that much. My dad used to put me at the front and then go in the mosh pit for my brother's band. Then my brother's mates would circle around me and look after me.
Protect you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But at that time, I remember watching my brothers and being like, I'm scared of going on stage. I was a really shy kid, didn't know how to play an instrument. I was in bands at school with people who knew me because of my brothers being in bands, who just sort of went, your brothers are in a band, you're going to be in my band, which is how I learned to play bass, or at least how I went to own a bass and learned how to hit it. So it's really funny to me, because when I was that age, my first thought was, how do I put them on stage then? If I don't want to be the guy on stage, and that's where this whole idea of promoting stuff came from. And I used to email any email address I found online that had at 10feettall.com at the end. I would email, just saying I'll come and work for free. Obviously, I never ever got a response.
It's funny because it's the type of place where you probably would have got a response.
Yeah, I don't know if it just got lost in the thing. I was emailing the wrong people. There was probably 100 of people in and out the doors at that point, to be fair.
It was a lot,
I never really knew who owned it or anything like that at that point.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if I was emailing the right person.
Yeah. So Graham's always owned it. It's always been Graham's business.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But at the time, you couldn't find that information online.
Yeah,
really,
of course.
At that time.
Yeah.
How old do we sound? That was what?
I know.
That was 16 years ago for me when I was doing that. So you'll have been...
I was probably, so it was funny because I started when I was 19. I was on the books and I used to work when I was back. So I went to uni for 3 years in Leeds.
Yeah.
So I'd be skint and I'd be like, I'm coming home for the weekend. Is there any work going? And they'd just throw me 20, 40 quid's worth of work. And then I'd probably spend that on going out that night. So I didn't actually make any money. But yeah, and then when I graduated... I was one of the fortunate people on the planet, really, because Phil had kind of said to me, there's an opening for you. He'd kind of always wanted somebody to take sumo off his hands so he could jump up a bit. So he was kind of if you don't want to do anything else, when you graduate, when you finish uni, there's a spot open for you, and it wasn't a lot of hours to start with. It was maybe 16 hours a week, but when me plus everybody I knew at uni all finished uni and all went, shit, what the fuck am I going to do? I was like, I'm going to go work for 10 Feet Tall.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with Phil, walking up and down Borough Town Centre, where towards the time when I left 10 Feet Tall, maybe 4 or 5 years in, I was I always knew what I was doing. Step 1, go to school. Step 2, go to college. Step 3, go to uni. Step 4 was go work for 10 Feet Tall. And I was now I'm at that point almost 5 years behind everyone else, where I was what do I do? If I don't want to work for 10 Feet Tall anymore for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
I was oh shit. Now I was I thought I was ahead of everyone, but I'm actually behind, because I just went, My thing was always I always wanted to be in bands. I started learning to play drums because my friend at the time really wanted to do drum lessons at school, and you needed to have 2 people to do it to make it worth the drum teacher's time to open up another slot. So 2 people in the lesson. And he asked me, and I was why not? I get out of school for a bit.
Yeah.
I get out of my lessons to learn. He quit after about a year. I obviously loved it. And then I was I want to be on stage.
Yeah.
The opposite of you, basically. I was so I was always how can I make my life so that I can focus on being in a band and being on stage? And the other thing is just supporting that. So obviously getting a job at 10 Feet Tall was a perfect fit, because it was all about
I'm laughing because you were mentioning about getting out of lessons to do the thing. I used to nick out of lessons to band practice. I was the year below the people I was in the band with. One of them being Sean Patterson, who was Battle Plane Crash.
Yeah.
We were in several bands, singing and swapping instruments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it you can still find online. I don't know how to take it down, but I'd love to know.
Oh yeah, I've got some cracking songs online still. Yeah.
But I used to, because he was the year above, his schedule was he would finish in year 11 at a certain time of the day when I would have English.
Right,
so I'd just go and lock myself in the music room and practice with Sean Patterson to the point where I got put on Red Report, which was you had to get checked in to every lesson, and at the end of the day, the head teacher had a sign to say you'd been to all your lessons.
So I'd sit and I used to I'd finish school and I'd just got the music on and I'd just play drums for like 2 hours. I was like obsessed.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
I think I was obsessed with the camaraderie of it all. Like, I think like I was massive into like Beastie Boys and wrestling, obviously, when I was growing up, and like even Seinfeld, and and it was always people just hanging about with the friends, and you never saw the work side of anything that they were doing. And even when, even the work that they put in at that age, when you're 15, 14, even younger, watching that sort of thing, you're not thinking about the fact that these wrestlers have gone off to learn how to wrestle. You're not thinking about the fact that the Beastie Boys have to practice the routines and the songs. You don't think about that Seinfeld's based on these snippets of someone's day, which isn't even real in the first place. So I became obsessed with just hanging about with my mates, and how do I turn that into a job?
Mate, I did exactly the same. So there's a band called... What are they called? It's not The Story So Far. It's definitely not them. But they've got a story in the name. Story of the Year.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, old hardcore adjacent band. They had, me and my friend Adam used to be obsessed with their DVDs.
Yeah.
And I got obsessed with band behind the scenes footage.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what are they up to? What do they do? They're always on tour. And one of their roadies was a guy called Biff, and there's a bit where he's absolutely fucking hammered on this shitty DVD and filmed on a handy cam.
Yeah.
And he's on the tour bus and he's like, my name's Biff and I'm a professional hanger-outer. And I was like, I am a professional. I was like, I am a really good hanger-outer.
Yeah.
How do I make that my job? And I was like, by continuing to try and be in bands. And
I think
drums.
To turn it 360 in a sort of where we are and who I am, it's kind of what's led me to this point of being I would not last 5 minutes in a 9 to 5. I've never had a conventional 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Closest I came, I worked in Hollywood Bowl. That is it. That's as close as I came to 9 to 5. Actually, I once did an alarm monitoring job, which was 12 hours at a time. It was either 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah,
and it was, if someone's alarm went off, they'd have a password and you'd have to voice in and go, is everything all right? And they'd go, apples. And you're like, oh, that's their okay password.
Right, okay, everything's fine.
Yeah, some actually really interesting stuff happened, but it was, that's a different, maybe episode 2.
Yeah.
Just about that, because it was nuts. But those are the closest I'd ever been to a conventional 9 to 5, and I wouldn't last a minute. And when a year ago, when this sort of conversation came up, I always thought, again, I don't like thinking about dreams or anything, but I always thought one of my opportunities would be to own a venue, but when I'm 50, not when I'm 32.
Okay,
and it came up, and I was like, I could either use my money and buy a house and live in a nice, comfortable house somewhere, or I could do this and hope that it works.
You can always buy a house.
Or I could just leave it here.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But that opportunity never goes away.
I know, exactly. And maybe I could use this platform to help me buy a house down the line, or,
100%,
I didn't know where it would lead, and I like running in the unknown with a blindfold on.
Yeah.
And I took it because I was like, all I know is how to hang out with people.
How do I monetize this?
Yeah, and I'm not a club person, so I didn't want to go away and be a promoter and put club nights on.
Yeah.
I love gigs, but I'm not a big gig person, or at least not every week. One or two a year.
It's a tough way to have a job as well.
It is, and it's a lot of emails and honestly, I want to write a quiz, come to work, buy some beer in, come to work and watch people sell it while I'm DJ. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be overly conventional, and I'm not saying it's completely unconventional. I'm not saying I invented DJing or quiz hosting or anything like that.
But it's not you don't work.
It's not a 9 to 5, and it's a midnight to midnight. 7 days a week job. But I'd rather do that for not a lot of money than and enjoy what I have and be really grateful for what I have, than go work a job I don't like and stick to a routine, because that's just not me at all. It's fun how you get there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is funny how you get there, because 10 Feet Tall wasn't a conventional job by any stretch of the imagination, and I always kind of did the same. I had a 9 to 5 for a bit, and it just completely drained the life out of me.
When you did 10 Feet Tall, did you feel like day one were you like, oh my god, this is me for now, this is where I want it to be, I can make this work Because that's how I'd been a promoter when I started for them for... God, when did I start for them? 2018, 2017.
Yeah.
Maybe 8-9 years.
Yeah,
8 to 9 years. So it felt like when my first day in the office, I was like, oh my God, I got to sit in an office now. Because at the time I felt like, oh, now I've got a 9 to 5 that is booking gigs. This before I realised.
Yeah.
I always say, and this isn't anything on anyone that worked there around the place, this is purely a me thing. I always say I learned more of how not to do that job by working there. Because I totally just very quickly took it for granted. Very quickly didn't enjoy the actual serious side of it.
I think you also joined at a really strange time in 10 Feet Tall's lifespan.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sumo on ice.
I don't care. Just like the
I do, it hurt me.
I wish I went.
You don't.
The tail end of like the certainly the glory days of what was considered the best of what 10 Feet Tall were known for doing. It's just a different business now. When I landed, I mean, it was chaos. I was just like, what am I doing? And probably 2 years into it, I was still like, I still don't really know what I'm doing. But we just had a blast. The office was like, it was one of the strangest and like most fun places I've ever worked. Like you had 5 or 6 mainstays in there. You know, there was always me, Phil Saunders, everybody knows. It was like Danny Jones DJing and doing graphic design, Marty doing graphic design and video stuff, Charlotte, our office manager, and Graham when he was there. There was a time at 10 Feet Tall where Graham went and lived in Paris for a year and just gave us the reins, which was hilarious. He just like moved his whole family there and like, it was mad. But like, and then various like people that would drop in, like Robin who would come in and like, it was just mental.
It was in the town hall as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the old courtroom. The old courtroom. And I was like, if that place existed now, all we'd have to do is put a camera in the corner, film it, and we'd all be like, we'd have made a shit ton of money on YouTube. Because it was just different and it was wild and it was cool. I learned so much, but like, I don't really know what I was doing.
I remember when I was in Bilingual, and back in the days when people used to put posters on pizza shop walls. I don't know if that's a big thing still. Don't go to enough pizza shops anymore because Uber exists. I went in to pick up several sizes of poster and flyer, and I remember walking in full of confidence, full of swag, being like, "This is it. 10 Feet Tall are printing our posters. I must, we've made it locally at the very least." As soon as I walked in there, I was like, silent, like walking like a penguin, like waddling over.
Funny, I remember Phil barking at me because me and my friend Lauren had been out flyering, and like we didn't have enough passes or something, and it all kicked off with like the council, and we like went in like full of fuck, like shouting and like, and Phil was like, shh, like, and we were like, what? And like Graham was having like a super serious meeting with an accountant or whatever, and I was like, hey, but this is 10 Feet Tall, like you don't have those type of meetings, like, and it was like, any other time that would have been totally fine, but it was like you just walked in at the wrong time.
I remember that day though, I remember walking in and we were about to play Spenceley's and the poster was mint, and I remember walking in and going, obviously it was much more than this, but from the untrained eye, I was like, they get to sit around and design and print posters all day long.
No,
why am I not doing that?
It was amazing.
This was when I was working 16 hours a week at Hollywood Bowl and then going off and tour in the back of a Ford Fiesta.
Well, I was touring in Ford Fiestas as well.
That's crazy.
But there was a certain amount of like gratefulness because my friends were like window cleaners and like stuff like that, and I was like, I wouldn't go into the office till 12. I'd finish at 5 a couple of days a week, and then it was like my time was kind of filled up by running a couple of club nights on a weekend. So like I still envy this now. Nobody worked on a Monday at that time at 10 Feet Tall. Office was closed because we all worked all weekend and it was we were all knackered. And I used to wake up on a Monday and kind of like look out the window, all the cars, and like everybody going to their jobs with the briefcases. And be like, look at you fucking suckers. Now I'm one of them suckers on the school run, but like, I'd be like,
but again,
we're
it's
doing
a different kind of gratitude, isn't it?
It's
like you got to have a family after doing all of that. Do you know what I mean? To me, I was like, at that point, I say at that point, there's no real point I've defined there, but like at the point of working for 10 Feet Tall in 2018, 2019, I was like, they could pay me 10 pence a minute, well, not a minute, an hour, and I'd still probably want to do it. At the risk of my own future of like not being able to have a family or whatever because I didn't make much money doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'd have done absolutely anything. I'd have risked anything. I'd have give anything up to just work and do that to just get me by. I'm not saying 10 pence an hour would have got me by. I think you get the sentiment. Do you know what I mean? And I think the fact that you get to go away now and have a wife and 2 kids.
2 kids, yeah.
After doing all that and being in bands and stuff is mint. And
yeah. I mean, people like you and I have kind of always beaten to the sound of our own drum. Is that the same?
I think so, yeah. I think that's, a lot of my...
But it's hard, it's not easy.
I didn't think a lot, like inwardly or even backwards on my time of doing things. I haven't looked at what I've done in the past a lot until I took this place on. I've become a lot more sentimental. I've always been a sentimental person, but very short-minded in terms of timescale sentiment. And now I think back to like when I was 17, and obviously bringing foreplay back this year, which was something I did when I was 17, started that with Leon Pape, and just looking back and going like, I built a platform then that I can bring back now. Yeah. It's just an ethos. A lot of people don't even know. We had the Larches on for like 2 years old when we started doing that. Which is nuts. But the parents remember it. Do you know what I mean? But I get to bring that back. And again, like I feel so much gratitude for the fact that I can do that. Because people support it. And I put a thing on my story, and I think you mentioned it that you came in here the next day, a few weeks ago, and I was like, I'm nowhere near starting a crowdfunder yet, because a lot of venues do that. But I've just had my first fat bill, and fuck. Obviously, you prepare for that a lot better than I did the first time we had a bill, and it was nowhere near killing us. But it does suck to just see a bunch of money leave your bank account. After
already paying a shitload of tax.
It's crazy. But I feel like every time we open, it's almost like we're crowdfunding. And like, you know, when you used to put I'll pay £5 and you come and sing a song in my kitchen. That sort of crowdfunding. I feel like that's what it is. It's like I'll pay £2 for a ticket and £5 for a pint if you host a quiz for us. And that's how I feel. Like, but it's gratitude that people are willing to crowdfund. Because they are willing to come here and invest in what we're doing, invest their time, invest their money. And I know, like, I think I've always been shy of being, and maybe I've done it without realising, but being like, thank you so much for your support. Because as a venue, it feels weird to be like, thanks for supporting us. When in reality, all I want to do is open my doors and sell beer and let people have a good time in here. And create a place where people can have a good time. So it feels weird to sound like a band or sound like someone.
I know what you're saying. But it feels like more than a bar.
And I'd want people to come here because they want to come here, not because they feel like they're supporting the place.
100%.
And I feel like there's a lot of pressure put on people these days to support the thing that they like. You can like something without having to put all your money and time in it. But
so I had a similar conversation with Curtis yesterday about something, but also like I remember speaking to Josh at Off the Ground just before they opened, and he was talking about like the good stuff that they do and like the money that they put back in the community and stuff. And he was like, I don't talk about it. And he was like, I don't want to talk about it. He was like, I want people to come here because the food's good, the coffee's good, and the service is good. He was like, I don't want people to come here to think, oh, I'm going to support them. He was like, we're not a fucking charity. He was like, we support charities. But he was like, I need to make a product good enough so people will buy it. We do what we want with the money after the fact. If it support local communities, great. Because I was like, shout about it. And he was like, nah.
No, it's a hard one because like, I think you're worried that people are going to perceive it a certain way. Not that they're going to perceive it a certain way and be like, oh, they're just doing that to get people in, but they're going to perceive it a certain way in the fact that it's not going to be true to yourself anymore. So like, we have done it in the past, and I know I have very recently, especially with New Year and the sentiment around it of just being like, thank you for your support this year. But again, like, I think the whole,
it's okay to say that.
It definitely is, but the whole thing of like, again, I just don't want people to feel like they have to, like, yes, support small businesses, and yes, support local venues, and yes, support local bands, but don't feel like you have to stand in a crowd you don't want to be in all of the time. Gig that you don't want to go to.
So
save time for yourself. And I'm saying that as the guy that's been on the other side of that as well.
My thing, and this is what I said to Curtis yesterday, I was like, if people, it's really, really, this is probably going to come across like quite callous, but like, I like live music, I like small venues, but I'm not going to go somewhere because they say support small venues. I'm like, put a gig on good enough to catch my attention that I want to pay money for. It's really hard.
I get people apologising all the time that they weren't at something. And I'm like, listen, I do 3 events a week. I understand. And like, it is great. Like, I love when this place is full of friends, and I've become friends with a lot of people that do come here regularly, which is great. But if they didn't come here for 6 months, and then I saw them 6 months later, I don't want them to feel like they have to apologise.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I haven't been here for a while. Yeah,
it's such a crazy time that, because cost. I think it's come from the fact that costs are so high, and it's not. You can't just have the money to open a pub and then just exist anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you've got to have the money to open a pub, and then you've got to create the money to keep it open now. And you do, probably because of that, feel a lot more gratitude. And I know I feel so much gratitude every time people walk in this door. And I say to Callum, I'm going to call him a co-manager, I guess. I don't think we've put a title to it, but kind of manages the place for me, does all the artwork and all the stuff I was doing I don't really have time to do anymore. Callum's took that on board and just took us up a level. But I always say to him, what do I always say to him? I forgot now. I've talked myself out of a point here. I was like, we can't afford to have a bad day. And we can. Like, that's it's a bit far. But like tonight's ticket sales, the first quiz in about 6 months that hasn't done over 70 tickets, I'd say. And 70 doesn't sound like that much anymore. Not bragging or anything like that, but on Thursday, 70 doesn't sound like that much anymore. And we haven't done 70 tickets, and that feels like a bad night for us. But it's not. It's just it's scratched our back tonight, as opposed to it helps pay for. If we did 70 tonight, 30 tomorrow, 30 Saturday, then we're at the point of going, oh God, if this happens next week, how do we pay for the orders and stuff? But we're not there, and I know we're not going to have that, and it's because of the work that someone like Callum puts in. So like the gratitude and the whole thank you for the support, I hope it comes naturally, because
I think it does, because I've just started off by saying I'm really shy to put my face to things, realising I have to. I've got a friend called Nicky, a really good friend of mine who I've met through this place. Peacock.
Who's taught me, without meaning to teach me, to appreciate things by being, I don't even know if this makes sense here, appreciate things by being myself, and just like people, like I've learned to be myself outward, whether it's as a quiz host, on social media. You know, a couple of years ago, if you looked at the social media, I was going, this Saturday at play, and here's the opening times, and there's still a little bit of that. But now I can say, fucking get here on Saturday, it's gonna be mint. Do you know? Because that's how I talk to people. And I like Nikki naturally did a really good job of teaching me to do that without telling me to. She was just like, well, why don't you say that? Why aren't you doing that? Or
Nikki's a legend.
The first person to compliment you on doing something like that. And that alone, if I don't see Nikki for 6 months, that hasn't happened yet since I met her. But if I didn't see Nikki for 6 months, I know she'd still be responding to every single thing that she thought was good. And just because she doesn't respond to something doesn't mean she thinks it's bad. It's just not for her. She even messaged last night, because we're showing a Borough game in a couple of weeks. She messaged and went, "You're very masculine lately." I was like, she's very quick to just like notice stuff and notice trends that we're doing, and
So I won't see her for like 18 months, and I'll see her here or wherever, and I'll think she probably doesn't remember who I am.
She'll know everything that you've done.
Straight away, she's like, "Hi Rick, how's it going? What you been up?" And I'm like, "Fucking hell, I can't believe you
taught me a lot." And I think again, like I've become a lot more sentimental since taking over this place and looking back. I thought a lot about like who my heroes are, because I always constantly I attach myself to different people all of the time, and as in like heroes and idols and stuff. Like I love Robin Williams, and when I'm in that mindset, I'll watch 50 of his films, and then I won't even think about him again for 6 months. I've just burnt myself out of Robin Williams. I'm watching a lot of Impractical Jokers at the minute, and I don't even know why. I do. I think it's fucking class, but like, you know, I wouldn't look at them. But I've come with the whole sentimental thing. I've come to realise that I had a moment, and I probably had one too many beers when I did it with Phil Saunders a few weeks ago. At Foreplay, his band Grey Faces, Mint Band, played the first one, and I did have a couple of too many beers. First time at an event, I'd been nervous hosting an event, like ever. And it was busy, and it wasn't just that. I think it was the whole Foreplay thing, and
of course,
I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself that people didn't even know.
For sure.
And it paid off. It was mint, but I did drink too much because of it, which I try not to do. It's a bad habit, but and Phil was near the DJ thing when I was thinking. He came over and went, "Thanks for the gig," and I just grabbed him and went, "I don't think you realise how much I'm here because of you," and blah 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 blah. And like, growing up in that mindset of like looking at my brothers, it went from looking at my brothers to looking at yourself. I didn't really know you as much as I was aware of Phil Saunders' existence and Henry Carden's existence. looking at those people and going, oh, people are doing it. And I was relating to them because they were also going off and being in bands.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Henry Carden open Music Live with Darts, and they became my favourite band.
Yeah.
I remember Exit by Name.
Yeah.
They didn't become my favourite band, but I remember my brother from the CD.
Sorry, yeah.
They were good. But the Hot Quiche Conspiracy.
Yeah.
There was so many different bands of that time. Oxfam Glamour Models, just go on forever here. But those people were doing these things, and Phil was one of them, and Phil's a mainstay. And he's still doing something that contributes in a different way to the local creative
for sure.
scene, if you want to call it that.
Still playing in bands as well, though,
still
which is
playing 100 bands, right?
Thing, yeah.
Literally, people always say, they're like, is there a band he's not in that plays a player?
Yeah.
It's not my fault. I book the bands and he's in them. And he's good at everything he does.
Yeah.
And I just admire that so much. I mean, from my perspective, I get to do entirely what I want to do for a living.
Yeah.
And there's enough gratitude on that alone. But then I was touching on the fact that Dylan, who I was in a band with, does this really good thing of we might not talk for a while because we're so busy individually of each other. And then we'll either play Football Manager or something, but we'll always start by going, right, what have you been up to? And then what have you been up to in terms of our work? And then the first thing he'll do after that is, how's your family? How's your dad? How's your mum? He'll remember names of cousins. And like, I'm learning, like, I feel like 6 years ago, last time you interviewed me, I was so bad at that. I was just so inward. Here's what I'm doing.
Right.
Here's what I'm doing. And then
yeah.
having someone like that in your life just teaches you to try and step back a little bit and go, I'm doing that anyway. You can tell people later, check in with people first, and you're still Aaron, who's known for doing play, or that certain people might know for that regard. And your friends want to know a little bit about, but it's not your entire thing with your mates. And I'm trying so hard at the minute to be calm and peaceful and let my brain be my brain and have time for others.
Yeah. So I like, it's funny you mentioned that because it's something that somebody brought up that they said, when I meet, I've always said, like, to a fault, if I want something, if you get me in a room with somebody, I can generally, they like me.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way. And it's the same with you.
Well.
No. But someone said to me the other day, they said the way it's because, and I don't know if I've just got this from, like, I don't know where it came from. And it wasn't on purpose. But, like, if I meet someone, I'll be like, hiya, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, how are you? And then they get a chance to talk about how they are.
Yeah.
And they were like, and that makes people want to. And I was like, oh, I didn't even. It's just like a sentence that comes out of me. It's not that I don't care, but But you're right. It goes a long way, I think is my point. And I think in terms of what you're doing here, perhaps what I've been trying to do with Reap, and in terms of like building a community.
Yeah.
And like it's something that's like more. It's something that you can't fake.
Yeah. And
that goes a long way.
Well, like, you're so exposed, and you do
something. People that see through a few bullshit.
You do something illegitimately, and it's not. Well, it's going to be seen immediately.
Yeah.
And when I was working for Play Brew, I was doing bits of that purely because, again, it was someone else's business. This isn't me complaining about the guy who's in charge. I was very much in charge of what events we did.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was watching breweries across the country do certain things, and I was like, we have to do something like that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it. We tried to do Oktoberfest, and it was the worst event.
Yeah.
Like, it was so bad. Like, I lost custom. I lost people.
Right.
That was so bad. We did beer festivals, and it was like, again, like, because we're a
brewery, and that's what breweries do, yeah.
But I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
But
so then all the official,
and it just wasn't right, and I was still putting, it was still my face in it and stuff in terms of the event side of things. But I was doing it as a brewery, whereas now I've got the freedom to do it as Play, sort of wind in a little bit. And what we've done the last year is try and go, right, what is our audience? I hope it's an alternative audience. Let's take the risk and let's do some free wrestling events and all this.
Yeah.
And thankfully, so far, it's paid off. A couple of things haven't worked. We've switched them up because they're still what we want to do. So we did This Must Be the Place. It was an alt indie night, which is basically indie music about Arctic Monkeys, if you want to put it that way. It's a bit more Talking Heads, a bit more Cure and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe not Friday, I'm in Love. Maybe a bit more down the line.
Deep cut.
Yeah, a bit of a deeper cut. And we want to be able to DJ that and not be a club night. We're not a nightclub.
Yeah.
we want to be a place where, again, we're 200 capacity as well, and we only ever really need 100, 120 people in for this place to be comfortable. And that's what our target is. And we know we can be a little bit more niche and hit that target, but it's about hitting that sweet spot with it. So we've changed This Must Be the Place to Gold Sounds, which is, again, that sounded like I was turning that into a promotional tirade, but the point I'm getting at is like you learn that sweet spot of like, this must be the place is what we wanted to do to a perfect T. Didn't work because of certain elements, so we switch it up to Gold Sounds, which means this must be the place to us because we named it that and went in with the mindset of doing retro indie. Gold Sounds is more like we can do retro indie mixed in with more modern indie and put some everything, and put some, not even, I'm going to say niche, but not niche, but like, you know, like LCD sound system, but again, not top of Spotify tracks, album tracks in, and people be here and go, cool, this is just a vibe.
It's fun.
And we've learned that over time, and we're still learning. But yeah, it's been a really, really, really good year, and all I can really say about it is I'm really, really grateful, and I hope people keep finding us and people keep coming here, because it keeps me going. It keeps me up at night. It keeps me up at night. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and just didn't get back to sleep because I was excited to get out of bed and get today underway and get this weekend underway, because we've got so much on, and like Super Bowl and all that sort of stuff, and even just thinking about how we can learn from this week, from the first Gold Sounds, and you know, how we can improve it, and without even having done it yet. It might turn to tomorrow we do a Gold Sounds or a Play After Dark on Saturday. It's exactly what we want from it, but we never come out of it with that mindset. We go, that was perfect, can't wait for the next one, because we will do something now. Yeah, good. It's a good spot to be in, and again, like, just really fucking grateful. And really a lot of self-pride for the first time in my life.
So there was a photo, I'll probably end on this, I know you brought it up at the start of the podcast actually, but you and Ash Holland put an ordeal on.
Yes.
Ash Holland wandered around with his film camera, took some snaps, and there's a photo of me and Phil Saunders in attendance, and your little head in the background. And shared like a cryptic post on my stories about it.
Oh god, yeah.
So, but what I really liked about it, it was like far too much to be able to fit into an Instagram story, is that the fact that Ash Holland took the photo, which fits perfectly in like the relationship. So like, Phil was always my boss. He'd hate that I'd call him my boss, but like, I worked for Phil and with Phil. He'd much rather say I worked with him on Sumo, and I did, and he gave me lots of ownership of it. We did it for a long time, and we never really got it to a point, or got ourselves to a point where we could, or at least we didn't think we did, where we could like port it and do something our own, and like blah blah blah. And then you worked for 10 Feet Tall, and then kind of managed to do that thing that me and Phil never really managed to do, which is kind of like build a venue and and do all of the wonderful things that you're talking about. So it was just so funny that like I had that in the back of my head, and I was like, and it's amazing to see your journey and kind of see you know, just fucking go and start a record label, to like working at 10 Feet Tall, realising it was shit, working for Salvin and it not being right, which we've all been there, or at least I've been there, and empathise with. I've still got a lot of love for Salvin, he's a good friend.
He's a great guy.
And then like, but then so to see you kind of like take on this and take it on as I knew it before, as Play Brew, and then kind of get ownership of it and see how it's turned into today. You know, like sat here looking at all these amazing arcade machines, which is just used to be vat of beer. And all that is amazing. And that, I guess, is that called giving you your flowers?
Yeah, I'll take that. I remember that post going up and you putting that on your story. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and she's a little bit younger than me. That sounded really bad. She's like 5 years younger.
Like 7 years younger than me. It's all good.
It's like, I'm 33. It's not like I'm 21 and she's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know why I started with that information. Maybe cut that bit. But my point with that is that she wasn't around at that time. Like, she was doing the club night thing while I was going off and booking gigs and touring the country and doing all the independent stuff. So it meant nothing to her, which is actually one of my favourite things.
Yeah, for sure.
Because for one, I get to talk to someone about all this stuff for the first time.
Yeah.
And for two, again, it doesn't really mean anything to her. And like, we're probably surrounded by people where it does mean stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. but you need a break from that. I've got that now, which is really nice. But then the other thing was seeing it and just sort of going like, again, like I said it to Phil, and it's hard to say when I've not had as much to drink when I was with Phil. But the same goes to you. Like, if it wasn't for you guys doing what you were doing, I wouldn't have been third hand, is that what you call it? Like inspired? Second hand inspired, third hand, I don't know, three too many hands. I was inspired without directly being inspired by what you were doing because you were doing it. Yeah. That was your job. You were doing it for the love of doing it and for work. And as much as, like, this is my place, I'm doing it, I wouldn't have been able to get here. If it wasn't for going to the gigs or the nights that you were putting on and going, okay, I can do this in my own way. And I can do this in my own way because people like me, people who have a similar path to me or like similar music to me or, you know, dressed the same way as my mates or anything like that, are doing it. So why can't I do that? You know, like, it's all well and good me sitting here and going, Robin Williams and Mitch Hedberg and all these people like Andy Kaufman and all these really people that owned a craft and a craft that they didn't invent, but they went, I'm going to do it my own fucking way. I take a lot of inspiration from that. You can take inspiration from that doing any job. I think it's harder to find close to home inspiration that makes you go, I'm going to spend all my money on a venue.
That's possible. There's a 20-year-old kid out there watching you do what you do with play.
I hope so. I really do.
And who knows what they'll create? It won't be play, but it'll be them.
I really do hope so. And like, I had a teacher in school, and in the last day of year 11, he was mint, but at the time, he didn't really realise what he was, and he was a maths teacher, but he used to watch Johnny Bravo for 25 minutes of your lesson. 2 minutes he'd play you a song. It was genuine as well, by the way. I always feel like I've imagined this, like it was like a fever dream. But thankfully, again, like I live with a guy that was in the same class as me, so we talk about it often. He'd have 2 minutes of like, he'd just do like a different project with you. Like there was one way he went around the class and asked how everyone wanted to die. Like how, not wanted to die, but if you could choose how you die, how would it be? And you had like 10 seconds to say it, but then it'd be 2 minutes of maths. I got a B in maths, by the way. So he was a good teacher. But he was very much like a motivational speaker to kids, and then going, you had your respect, and then he went, now I'm going to teach you a little bit of maths.
Nice.
And he was fucking class. But on the last day of year 11, he brought us all in to school, took us bowling, took us back into school, we played a game of dodgeball, and then give us a motivational speech, which it felt like he'd pent up the courage to do after. I'm doing that as well because he was built like mad. And one thing he said was, change the world in any small way you can. And he even touched on the fact that what he meant by that is, if it's looking after your brother at home, if it's having a family, be a positive influence. He doesn't mean go out and build a skyscraper or anything like that. And all I'm doing is changing this portion of the world in this tiny way. You know, I love Middlesbrough. I've had job opportunities in Leeds and Hull and other places and opportunities to go there and stuff, and I've never wanted to. I've always wanted to bring something here. Whether it was being in a band that got big or popular, and then this was our hometown and people looked at that and went, they're from that place. Where they're from. Whether it was start a record label, I'm pointing over there because it's a big ass flag, or work at a venue that was on the map in the country and people came here, and then now it's this, which is just give people an alternative place to go to in this town where there isn't an alternative place to go to. Going back to the whole point of what you just said is that all comes from people like you and Phil that were doing it way before I was. So there's a bit of you in these walls, Rick. Is what I'm saying. Probably literally, actually.
I know.
The sweat you've put in,
blood, sweat and tears.
Events,
cool. Well, that's a nice way to end it. I think. And I'll take that. Apparently I'm quite bad at taking compliments, but good.
It does. It means the world, and it doesn't go missing. It does not go missing. Again, the gratitude to people that come here extends to people that have been and done this somewhere else before. So
we all stand on the shoulders of giants, I think.
10 feet tall giants.
Right, Origin Live.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for
Cheers.
the podcast. Thank you, everybody.